which part of what I was saying were you not buying?
Well, you were going to talk to him about not wanting to play in Toronto, but this is the thing.
It's better than people think.
Oh, I love Toronto. Toronto is one of the best cities in the NBA by far. This is the thing for DeMar, right? This is the part that's tough. The first breakup is always the hardest. The first breakup is always the hardest when you don't see it coming. I played for the Nets for 6 years, maybe. We won 4 division titles, went to the playoffs every single year, went to 2 NBA finals, and I found out from a kid at my basketball camp that I just got traded, right? So I'm sitting here, it was on draft day, I'm signing autographs, and this kid goes, hey, my dad just said you got traded to Milwaukee. And I was like, what? And then like 2 minutes later, my phone rings, right? That emotion, you carry that with you a long time. So for him that has committed so much, be drafted by them to accomplish what he has accomplished. And I was never the player that DeMar DeRozan is, but that first breakup is tough.
And there's reporting that suggests that the Raptors basically told him directly he would not be traded in the last few days when his name came up. But we all understand that's sort of the business that you guys have chosen, and that's the reality of it. So let's deal in the reality of the deal itself. If you just were to have left the Raptors as they were, okay, you changed the coach, which looked ridiculous when he wins Coach of the Year. But they were the 1 seed last year. The world has basically moved Boston and Philly past them, maybe because we tend to overlook Toronto. But in the absence of LeBron James in the East, were the Raptors, as currently constituted, I guess as they still are for this moment, not capable of coming out of the East and making the finals?
I think it eventually becomes a situation where you go, listen, fool me once, it's on me. Fool me twice, it's on you. Like the Raptors, they had taken that as far as they thought. Last year was supposed to be different, RJ.
It's just LeBron,
bench, but take the pressure off DeRozan and Lowry. What happened? Both those guys did not play well enough in the playoffs. Now those guys stepped up.
It was supposed to be different for Boston also. It was supposed to be different. The last 3 years, they have lost to LeBron James. The last 3 years, so have the Toronto Raptors. So if you look at this moment, it's like you can't really judge them off an individual that has taken a team to going against a team that's gone.
3 straight years you've lost the Cavaliers. Twice you got swept by these guys.
It does not matter because you don't want to change the formula. You look at the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs have never won a back-to-back championships, right? But they've won the finals 5 times. They've done this because they've stayed with it. They kept their core together. They stayed with it. They stayed with it. 1 year is going to be better than the next. So you can't always just say, oh, well, they couldn't beat him. We're out of here.
But you can't tell me DeRozan's the same player as Kawhi Leonard because that isn't the case. DeRozan's a terrific scorer and he's a wing, but he's limited. Kawhi Leonard is an elite player. He can rebound, he can defend much better than DeRozan, and he can score at will. If Kawhi goes back to the guy we saw 2 years ago when he was top 5 in the NBA, that's a talent upgrade for Toronto.
But this is the thing about Toronto. Having an individual that wants to be there is key. That you can't put a price or a mental spot on somebody that has the mental capability of saying like, hey, Toronto is my home, because it's not his home. There was talks about him wanting to go to LA. He decided to sign an extension because he committed to Toronto. Now you have an individual that doesn't even know if he wants to be there and has said that he only wants to play in LA, and he's willing to leave a team that he won a championship for and went to the finals multiple times and won Defensive Player of the Year. All of these things, the team that drafted him, all of these things, he's saying, I don't want to be here anymore.
So let's talk about the Paul George scenario, because that's really the blueprint in this, right? Yeah. Paul George, the whole world had him in LA. The Lakers decided to sit back and wait a year because we know we'll get him. That feels like what they're doing here with Kawhi as well. Do you see a scenario where the same thing happens?
I feel like this is a little bit different because I think if you see, like, Paul George played out his situation in Indiana and was like, I'm not going to re-sign, right? I want to enter free agency. So they were afraid that they were going to lose him. Kawhi has basically said, I want to be in LA. He kind of sat down, I'll never question someone's injury, but I will question someone's effort to get back and play as soon as possible. And I think he showed that he was going to take his time. And so he's talked about wanting to be in LA and wanting to play in LA. So yes, there is a risk, but I feel like if you look at the two situations side by side, it's a little bit different. Going to OKC and playing next to Westbrook is a little bit different than going to Toronto and changing countries pretty much and changing your team and changing everything you know. He's probably going to be a little bit more uncomfortable there than he would have been had he stayed somewhere kind of closer to what he knows as his norm.
Ultimately, Kawhi Leonard knows he's got something to prove. He's aware of all the criticism he's faced, even if he doesn't want to be in Toronto. He goes there for a year with the aspiration to go to Los Angeles the year after. Hey, you go there, maybe the Raptors win the East. He plays superbly. He'll get his fortune with Los Angeles. And Messiah Jury, if the Raptors made an NBA Finals.
You are so optimistic.
The Raptors have never made an NBA Finals, Richard. That'd be enormous for that fan base. We know how great that fan base is in Toronto. If they got to the Finals and Kawhi still left, they'd say, you know what, this was worth it.
But again, he's won a championship. He's been to the finals multiple times. Right. That's not keeping him in San Antonio. Right. Like being there with individuals that he knows and he's played with, and basically the family that has helped raise them, that's not keeping him there. So going to a conference finals or going to an NBA finals in the East is not going to be something that
But
changes.
if the Raptors don't make this move, they're not the equal of the Celtics and they're not the equal of the Sixers. So either you're going to be third in the East and resign to that.
Why do you say they're not that? They beat out both of those teams in the regular season this year. They were the 1 seed in the regular season this year, and it was LeBron they couldn't beat. And nobody could in the East for the last 8 years.
But I think the Celtics, once they get healthy, obviously they were missing Kyrie Irving, they were missing Gordon Hayward. I think they're clearly a better team than the Raptors. And I do think Philadelphia.
They're still a better team than the Raptors. If they were better than the Raptors before, I'm not suggesting that Kawhi Leonard isn't better than DeMar DeRozan. He is. But to me, if you want to try and win a championship, then you had to keep DeMar DeRozan and get Kawhi Leonard. Why were the Celtics not willing to put Jaylen Brown in a trade, but the Raptors are willing to put DeMar DeRozan in? I don't understand.
I think because Kawhi Leonard provides more versatility than DeRozan. He's an excellent player, perennial all-star, but he's limited.
You know what's funny is we're not talking about why did San Antonio make this move for DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, I know you're probably upset right now, and I don't want to talk about this like it's done, but DeMar, you're going to a great organization.
Yes.
You're going to a great place. You're going to a situation where people have thrived for many, many years, probably a lot longer than they should be. You look at Manu, Tony, you look at Tim Duncan, their career. This could be a great, great move for you.